Hey friends, today we're going to be reviewing an early access version of Temtem. I got a copy from Arsenal.gg Games. They're kind enough to give me a copy of the game for free, and I played it on the stream and I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I just wanted to review it too for the YouTube channel because, you know, why not? So my personal experience with Pokemon is that I used to love it growing up. I played up until Ruby and Emerald. I think I played Emerald Green, if I remember right. That's what I used to have. It's been like many years because I'm old and I don't really remember that well. And then after that, I felt like the game just kind of didn't grow up with me anymore. I was playing from like Pokemon Red and Blue up until Ruby. I think it's like 3 gens, 4 gens. I don't remember. But I grew up and I became older and I wanted more out of my video games. I wanted more like options out of them. And I feel like just Pokemon just was not giving that. And it still kind of isn't giving that. It's doing a little bit more. But I feel like Temtem is probably going to deliver on a lot of the things that I would like Pokemon to have done. Except for 1 or 2, but we'll get that in a second. Firstly, I want to talk about the pros of Temtem. Temtem is amazing. The music is 10 out of 10. The scoring is fantastic. I just wish there was a little bit more music going on in the game. But otherwise, like there's dynamic audio when you go into one area, and let's say you're in a overworld type area, then you go inside a building, the music becomes like a little bit more condensed, where it takes out a lot of instruments, and then you leave and the music picks up exactly where it left off, just with more instruments again. And that's really awesome, especially in a early access game. You don't see too much of that even in non-early access games, and I think that's fantastic. Like audio wise, the game is fantastic. Graphic wise, that's up for debate. I do like the toonish style graphics, kind of. I probably prefer Pokemon because it's a little bit more cartoony. Temtem's a bit more kind of, it lacks something. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't have that whole, it doesn't bring me whimsy. You know what I mean? I'm not wooed by the I'm not overtaken and brought into like a different world just by the graphics. The color palette is fine. Like I don't mind that it's so basic, but there's just something with the detail that's kind of missing that I would like to see. I'm not sure what it is, but I think a lot of people are with me on that. Where there's just something that's I can't quite put my finger on, that's just a little off, and it might be, or it might have to do with the Temtem themselves. They don't have a whole lot to them. They're kind of, so far I'm still pretty early in the game, they're kind of uninspired. I don't want to take it with a grain of salt because I'm still pretty early in the game. There's a few really cute Temtem that are really awesome, but they don't really have that same memorability that Pokemon has with their Pokemon. So, and I'm comparing this, sorry, I forgot to say this in the beginning, but I forgot to say that I'm comparing this pretty heavily against Pokemon because it is very much kind of like, not a clone of Pokemon, but it's like Pokemon, but they kind of wanted to take it into a different direction. So maybe like a Pokemon cousin instead of a clone. Another thing that the game does great is the battle system, though. Is the stamina system is fantastic. If you don't have PP to worry about, unless you got a big PP, but you don't have any PP to worry about. So that's one thing that's really cool. So you're not constantly managing your magic points or PP points, whatever you want to call them. It's a classic JRPG trope. They just changed the name of it. You don't have any of that to manage. You just manage your stamina. Now, if you let your stamina go too low, you do end up hurting yourself, and you can knock yourself out and knock out that particular Temtem, which is unfortunate. It makes the game very challenging. It's much more challenging than Pokemon I found ever was. Pokemon, I feel like you can just run through and not really have too much of an issue, not really have too much grinding to do. With Temtem, you're constantly managing like your potion items, and you're constantly managing leveling up. Like you constantly want to be doing those things. I thought it was because I had too many Temtem, so I stopped acquiring them at 4, but I'm realizing that you just need to, it's supposed to be challenging, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, because I feel like Pokemon just kind of like that. It was kind of like, you know, like I stream on Twitch, shameless self promo, but a lot of games that I stream are very easy to stream. I don't have to focus too much on it, and Pokemon would be a great game to stream because I'm always talking to chat, and the games are always second. I'm always goofing off on stream, but this would make this game, you could still do that, but you still kind of have to pay attention to how many items you have at least, and go back and heal your Temtem, and then go back out and then do it again, and then go maybe like 1 or 2 fights and go back, heal your Temtem, or buy more items, more healing items, and went back and go fight the tamers, because they're not called trainers, they're called tamers. Another point that I wanted to come across, that it's online, which is fantastic. You could essentially play the whole game in co-op mode, which would be cool if that's something you're into. If you're not into it, you can still trade Temtem online. I know you could also breed Temtem, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you could breed your Temtem with other Temtems online. Well, this is kind of they need to come up with a different name for Temtem because I feel like I'm saying Temtem a lot. But you can breed them with you could breed your Temtems together, and you could possibly breed them with other Temtems hopefully in the future. I don't know. It's one thing I'm hoping for. The other thing, the issue that I have with the game, or the only real issue that I have with the game, is like the art style choice is lacking for me. And the other thing is that the customizing clothes that customize your character are really expensive. It's outlandish. Like, how are you supposed to afford some of the stuff when you just start the game? And it seems super unattainable unless there's a way later on in the game that makes things a little bit cheaper. But even from what I've heard, my friend who's like 40 hours in the game says that it's still pretty expensive even for him. And he's been like breeding Temtem, and selling them. One thing that I would like to see from the future in the game, though, I would like to see that's something missing from the art style. I don't know what it is, but I just want something that's like keeps you invested in the game through the visuals. That's something that I feel like is missing a little bit, because I can just play the game because I like it. It's fun and it's great, but visually there's something lacking, and that's the part. I think it's the last piece to the puzzle for me. Another thing I would like to see is a different camera angle option, because the bird's eye view isn't that great for me. I really do prefer like a more traditional third-person camera view. I would love that, and if the game like gave you an option to turn that on or off, for me that'd be great. A few other things I would like to see are like a day-night cycle. That'd be neat. Unless I haven't played it long enough, but I've played like 4 or 5 hours of it, and I feel like there would have been a day-night cycle by now. That would be not awesome to see a day-night cycle, and just whatever they want to add. I want to see more interesting Temtem. I want to see them constantly develop the game for the future, because if this is going to be an MMO Pokemon type of thing, I would like to see them just really just put the series like into overdrive mode with making it its own thing, because right now it still feels very much heavily like Pokemon. Like I said, not a bad thing, but it's still lacking its own identity. I think that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. It's very much lacking its own identity. I would like to see them like try to find that, make it, then nail it, and then just inject its identity everywhere, all over the game. But yeah, that's it for this little review thingy. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't think there's anything else I would want to say. So follow me on Twitch, or you're dead to me. Twitch.tv/Upward. I'm live 3 to 4 days a week, usually 3 Monday, Tuesdays for sure. Monday mornings, Tuesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. ish. Sometimes I go live a little bit earlier, or sometimes I go live like an hour earlier. I don't know. And then the third day is always a random. Third and fourth day is usually random. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there. And take it easy, guys. Have a fantastic